guys, in the last lecture, we have already discussed that what is a lambda expression, why do we need it, where actually this need actually arise, right? Because I already gave you guys a very good example of industry level that this is how, let's say, something was written. There was a guy who came and just joined the organization. That was a fresher level guy. Guy was not able to understand because everything was written into Java 8 kind of framework, right? So while doing the automation, the people some people got confused. Why? It's not their fault. They are still learning. They are still learning Java concepts, but it's you cannot assume that once you join the organization, you should have full knowledge of Java, right? So what happened at that point of time, these people got confused why it is written like this, why it is returning like this. And once I click over here, it goes over here, and then it is calling this method, is calling this method or reference XYZ. Things were getting complicated. I have already told you what this is all about, right? This, you can say, some form of, or some very basic sort of functional programming, right? So why we have been using, what was the need? I'll just do a quick recap. I will just take 2 minutes. In order to do the recap part, we make use of lambda expressions so that we can reduce the lines of code, and we can make the code readable and concise. This is a very important point. I'll make you guys understand with the help of the demo that I'm going to give, that how to make the code readable and concise, what this line actually means. And the fourth point we'll discuss at the end of our series. For sure, I'll be giving you a demo for that. But let's not waste time onto this particular thing. As of now, if you're going to give an interview, at least remember these three lines, that so that we can make use of functional programming. We can reduce some lines of code, we can make the code readable and concise. Okay. So what was this new way of writing code? We have been writing code like public static void main, or public static return type kind of stuff, right? We have been doing in Java, right? If I open it, we have been doing it somewhat, let's say, like this, right? We are writing this and then this somewhat return type. But what was new into this way of writing code? We would not be specifying any method name, any modifier, any return type. Apart from that, there are some more logics in order how to write a lambda expression efficiently and quickly. I'll quickly show you. So these are my step one. Step one basically consists of very simple and very logical 7 steps, in which we are going to say that lambda expression, how we can write it. So once I'll start writing the lambda expression, I'll make each and every point over here. I'm not going to read in front of you. I will read it so that you can just remember. But I'm going to give a demo for that, right? So first of all, try to understand lambda expression does not have any modifiers, any method name, any return type. So why are we expressing all these three lines again and again? Let's try to understand with the help of an example, because without example everything makes no sense or nothing. So I've created a demo package over here. I'll quickly add a new class. Let's say I'll add a new class, and the name of class is new class. This is fine, right? No issues. I'll just delete all these disturbing elements over here. This is my class. And I'll write a lambda expression, or I will try to make, or try to write a lambda expression with the help of these simple examples. So first I'll try to cover this system.out.println. Like, if you want to convert, or if you want to print simple hello world example, let's try to write it out over here, right? So public static void main. Let me increase the font size over here. I'm just have increased it over here, right? So if you write like system dot out dot println, okay. And if you want to write something over here, let's say this is for testing, not testing g, this is for testing, right? So even this particular line of code can be converted into a form of lambda. How actually we are going to write, I am going to discuss in this lecture, on my another lecture. But try to understand the rules. In this lecture we are going to understand these rules, and in my next lecture that I've already created in advance for you guys, I'll upload all these videos simultaneously, because I don't want you guys to get wait, to make yourself wait, because I got some comments in which some of my friends said that we do not like to wait so much. So I'll upload all these three lectures one by one, that too parallelly. Okay, so coming back to the lecture, let's say there is a method. Let's relate it over here again, right? And we will convert that method into like public void, or you can say the name. What is the name of the method? You can say testing method. Okay, let's say there is no parameters over here, and this method is simply printing just one line of code over here. System dot out dot println. Okay, please try to understand. I know I am taking a little bit of time, but it's very easy. This is for testing. This is a method, right? Let's say this is a particular method written, and I want to convert it in the form of a lambda expression. So what it will going to look like, how it's gonna look like in future once it is converted into lambda. First, go for the first line. Lambda expression does not have any modifiers, right? So now I am going to remove this particular modifier. So this would not be there over here once I start writing. It won't be having any method name. It won't be having even return type, right? So one, two, three, no method name, no return type. So what is remaining over here onto these three lines, 6, 7, 8, 9? What is remaining? This part is remaining only, right? So I'll just copy it out this, and I'll just paste it over here. I don't know what happened. Okay, this was not copied. I'll just copy this piece of code and I'll paste it over here, right? So what is remaining over here is this line of code. This much line of code is remaining. Okay, only this much. Okay, now coming back to the fourth line, I'll quickly tell you how to write a lambda expression. If the body contains only one single line of code, so do we have only one single line of code? Yes, we have only one single line of code present over here. Or let's say onto this particular method, right? Okay. Then curly braces are simply optional. It says that, if there is only one line of code, you can remove this. So now I'm going to remove it. Okay. This is also fine. I have removed it. The fifth point says the types of arguments passed inside parentheses is also optional. That we'll cover in my just next example. So there is no argument that is being passed over here, right? Okay, if there is a return statement, there is no return statement over here. And if only one input parameter is inside the parenthesis, then parenthesis can also become optional. So these things are not there. Only first three conditions got satisfied, or you can say first four. For this example, only for this example, this piece of code, four things were getting applied to it. Arguments are not passed over here. There was no argument, there was no return type, and there was also um, no input parameter, right? We are not passing anything. So how it's gonna look like? You just have to write this particular you just have to type this kind of braces, parenthesis, open and close, put this put this greater than sign. Okay, print it onto one line or keep it onto one line, and this becomes your lambda expression for this piece of code only. Okay, so this is how we write the lambda expression with the help of these rules. Let's keep on remembering these rules. After 3 to 4 examples, everything you would be able to understand, right, what I'm talking about. So the lambda expression that equivalent to these three pieces of code or these three lines, you can say. And we have removed n number of things over here, right? So the exact code, or you can say the lambda expression equivalent to this method, is only this much, only this much. I hope I'm making sense. We removed modifiers, we removed return type, we removed method name. Since it contained only one line, parenthesis was optional, we removed that also. If it could have containing some other things, we would be removing. Further, we would be doing some refinement over here, right? So this was the lambda expression for this, right? How to make use of lambda, I'll quickly show. I'll show in the next lecture. But in this lecture, we are going to understand that how to write a lambda expression. Okay, I hope this thing was clear. Again, now we are going to do this example. Please understand, please be with me. I won't take much time. I'm trying to make lectures short, but things are things sometimes become a tricky. So this is lambda. Yeah, please be with me. So now we are going to perform some addition. I'll just quickly delete it. You can try in the same way I'm doing it, right? Now create a function or a method which says that, we are going to add something like addition, right? And when you are doing addition, you would be required to pass some form of parameters as well. Okay, I hope I am making sense. You cannot add one single thing to itself. At least two integers are required in order to perform the addition. Okay, let's say again we have only one single line of code. I will make the examples very complex. I'll make the examples. Don't feel that we are taking very simple examples over here. Why we are not taking the techie examples? We'll come to that once. I'll come to this point, particular point. This example, I'm going to make this thing so much technical that every concept that you are going to learn at the end of the lecture, what I've written over here, how we are going to use it, so that we can earn some money in an organization, or whatever the way, if you want, right? If you want to do job, if you want to go into the automation industry, or you want to become a Java developer, even at that point of time, Java it is required, right? So I'll make even more heavier concept over there once we come over there. But at this point of time, just relax, keep your mind very easy, because with an easy mind only you will be able to understand. Okay, so now let's say addition is performed. This is a code. For example, at this point of time, understand, addition is performed for two integers, right? So let's say this is a code. Now again we are going to write a lambda expression for this, right? So how we are going to write lambda expression for this method? Again, lambda expression should not have any modifiers, so this will get removed. Very fine. Won't have any return type. Okay, return type. Lambda expressions do not contain. Lambda expressions do not have any method name as well. Okay, fine. Further we are refining it. Guys, please pay a very careful attention, right? Method name till we have uh, reached these three lines. On the fourth statement says that if the lambda expression body contains one single line of code, even if you are not seeing my lecture, even if you are hearing it down, if you are traveling in a metro, then also this lecture is going to help you, right? While going for an interview, let's say we are going via metro or train or bus, but still you cannot see due to my video at any point of time, you can just listen it. Okay, so the fourth point says that if the lambda expression body contains one single line of code, remove the curly braces, right? So this is one single line of code, remove it. I have removed it, right? Okay, fourth point. Fifth point, it says the type of arguments which are present or which are passed inside parenthesis is also optional. It is saying that the type of argument, if let's say this would have been integer and this would have been string b, right? Just take for the sake of example, if the type of arguments is also optional, because your compiler, your Java compiler, has the ability to guess what is the type of these two variables based upon the context. Since addition is being getting performed, okay, sorry, since addition is being getting performed, so compiler will make sure, or compiler is so intelligent, or you can say that it will simply guess that these two types are nothing else, but they are gonna be, simply they are going to be integer, right? Okay, this is what it says, that has the capability to guess even the type of parameters passed automatically based on the context. So these types of parameters can also be removed. See how much we have simplified till now over here. Okay, if there is a return statement, in this example I'm going to just take third example would be based on upon this, and if only one parameter. Okay, right. So this example was following these five set of guidelines: no modifier, no method name, no return type, one single line of code, and type of argument is also optional, right? So in order to write a lambda expression, how it becomes, you just have to type this, you have to type greater than, just for the readability sake of the readability, you can put it into one single line, and see, this is the equivalent lambda expression. I'm just doing zoom in, zoom out. See, so much of things were written, and over here, what is written over here? Can you see how much? simple, clear, and concise, or the readable the code has become. At this point of time, there were three lines, so much of thing, void, addition, return type. You have to understand. Okay, this is the access modifier. This is return type. This is the method name. This is the pass of integer. Over here, nothing. Can you see? I hope you guys are able to understand why. Very soon you'll be able to understand why lambda expression, because the code is very it has become very easy. Once you get into this frame of mind of writing lambdas, you you at there will be a time in your career that you will start, I would not say hating, but you will start ignoring, like, why to write so much of code, why to not use this. There would be some point of time with, when it comes to relation with interface or any other things. But over here I have shown you that this would be equivalent lambda expression, right? Again, 15 minutes have passed. I'll quickly cover the last, like, convert string input to integer output, right? We'll be taking input as a string and we'll be converting into as integer output. Okay, so let's say public void check length, check length. Okay, let's take a tricky example. Why to take the examples that are present all over? Where convert integer to string. I'm going to convert this integer into string, right? At this point of time. Okay, so this is like over there. Let me just change some things. Okay, remove. I'm just removing this piece of code over here. I'm going to convert an integer to the string. So integer is required over here, right? There would be a return statement like return, or you can say that integer dot to string, right? So we are going to convert. If you are not able to understand what I've written over here, let me reiterate. So this is the integer. I am going to convert it into the string with the help of this method. You can say to string, right? Right. Okay. And the return type of this to string, I don't know whether you guys noticed or not. Let me again click over here. The return type of to string method is a string, so we have to store it into a string kind of variable, right? So let's say the string is string string e, let's say, right? String e is this over here, right? I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. I'm quickly deleting this line. Okay, so an integer is passed to this particular method. Integer is converted into the string and then it is stored to a string variable, right? And the return type is this particular thing. Either you can write, once you start doing the automation or the coding, in the once you enter the coding world, you won't be doing like this, guys. Sometimes, in order to save some lines of code, uh, you would be getting your peer reviews with your seniors. They will simply say that just copy this line over here and paste it over here, simply return it. Why are you first converting it, then storing it, and then returning it? So these kind of reviews, these are the future kind of things. But at this point of time, try to understand the example, right? So let's write the lambda expression of this particular method. Okay, a lambda expression does not have a modifier, does not have a return type, does not have even method name. If there is a single line of code, these two things can be, you know uh, are optional, these parentheses. So allow me to convert it into a single line of code, right? I'm just converting it into a single line of code. Okay, there is single line of code. This is going to be, removed. The fifth or the sixth point, it says that if there is return statement, lambda expression, then also compiler can guess and return the statement, right? So what it is saying over here is that if the return statement is present over there, Then also the Java compiler has the capability, in the same way the Java compiler has the capability to guess the type of arguments, and the type of arguments can be removed. In the same way, Java compiler can also guess the return type. So this thing is also not required, right? So what is written over here, then also compiler can guess and return statement can be removed, right? So let's say I'll remove the return statement over here, right? If only one input parameter is there inside the parenthesis, then parenthesis also become optional. How many input parameters are there? There are only one input parameter. If there is only one input parameter, then they also become optional, right? See how much simpler the code has become over here. Okay, so write this, write this like this. So this is your lambda expression of these. So much of line you have to write: public void convert integer to string int a, blah blah blah, string e convert this to this, return e. See, just couple of words are present over there. One, two, three, four, five words are there, right? Again, quickly now, we are going to convert string to integer. Please try to understand this example as well, or it can be a potential interview question: how to convert integer to string, or how to convert string to integer, right? So, right over here, you will be passing a string as, right, and in order to convert a string to integer, what can be done? Can you think of something? How to convert a string to integer, or how to pass input parameter as a string? Sorry, the input parameter should be a string and output should be an integer. Actually, this is what it means, right? So the input parameter is a string, we are passing a string, and the output we are getting, what we want is that it should be, in the form of integer, right? So a dot length, right? A dot length is an integer, so it should be stored into an integer variable. Let's say integer length equals a dot length. Okay, and if you return it, what this method is going to return, the return type of this method is going to be an integer, and what we are going to return, we are going to return the length, right? So this method is totally fine. In the same way, now let's try to optimize it. This will be getting removed. One method, access modifier is going to get removed. Return type will be getting removed. Method name will be getting removed. Okay, so these three things got removed. Let me just copy paste over here so that again I am able to understand you guys what I am talking about. Okay, so what we are going to do over here, this is going to get removed. Okay, deleted. Return type deleted. Method name deleted. If there is one single line of code, these two things can be removed. So I have told you already that once you enter this IT world, kind of review comments you would be getting is that, do not write into this particular, do not write into that particular way. So they will be enforcing some sort of standards in order to save this particular piece of line, right? Okay, return type has gone. So if there is one single line of code, parenthesis simply become optional. Okay, and based on the context, type of argument and return type can also be removed, because compiler has the ability. This got removed, this got removed. Oh my god, very simplified. And if only one input parameter, parenthesis can also be removed. Oh man, can you see the power of this lambda expressions, right? And how to write a lambda expression: put this, put that, right? So a equals a dot length. This is your lambda expression for this particular piece of code. See, this is how we have to write the lambda expression based on these seven rules: one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. There are seven rules, right? And we have discussed four examples. I know I have taken some time. Please pardon me. I apologize if I have taken a lot of time. But guys, you need to understand. Otherwise, there is no point of me to create this lecture, for any purpose. I mean, it's a wastage of my effort if you guys are not able to understand. There is no point then for me, right? So for that we covered these four examples. If at any point of time you feel like you're not able to understand, please let me know. In this section I have only covered how can a lambda expression be written. We have not run this particular piece of code, right? We have not run. In my previous lectures I have actually shown people how to run that piece of code. That comes onto my next topic. Okay, I'll be running each and every piece of code over here. But I think we have made clear these 7 lines that if lambda expression, again I'm saying that just listen it out or hear it out. If lambda expression contains modifier, then modifier will be removed. If it contains return type cannot be written in lambda expression. Method name cannot be written in lambda expression. If there are single line of code, then these curly braces become optional. Based on the context, input type of argument that are being passed can also be removed. Based on the context, return statement can be removed. So the entire code became like this. Okay, if there are multiple lines, okay, then there would be, then there would be this particular curly braces would be required. Okay, there are multiple lines, then curly braces would be required. I'll give you example of multiple uh, pieces of code in the next lecture. Okay, so I hope guys I have made some sense and you are able to understand how to convert small pieces of code into lambda expressions. Okay, so please go through this lecture one more time. I have already shared my first lecture. uh, please get an overview of that particular lecture, why lambda, and onto this lecture you can get an overview of how to write a lambda. In my next lecture what I'm going to cover is that, please stay tuned, I'll cover in the next lecture only, right? So guys, thank you for your time and thank you for your patience. Thanks a lot.